Chinese President Xi Jinping is holding a series of intensive bilateral meetings with foreign leaders on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Tianjin. He has emphasized the importance of friendship, practical cooperation, and adherence to multilateralism. The summit, running from August 31st to September 1st, is the largest in the SCO's history. Chinese President Xi Jinping has met with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Tianjin, stressing both nations must adhere to multilateralism. Xi has said that the border issue should not define the overall Sino-Indian relationship. The president added that China-India ties can be promising, stable, and far-reaching. China has voiced support for Armenia joining the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Beijing and Yerevan have now pledged to firmly back each other and deepen cooperation across sectors. Both sides also announced the establishment of a strategic partnership. Russia claims to have struck Ukrainian port infrastructure it says was being used for military purposes. The Defense Ministry reported shooting down 112 Ukrainian drones within the past 24 hours. Meanwhile, officials say the capacity of the third reactor at Russia's Kursk nuclear power plant has been fully restored after a drone attack disrupted operations earlier. This comes as Putin arrives for the SCO Summit in Tianjin. The Houthis have confirmed that their Prime Minister Ahmed al-Rahavi was killed in an Israeli airstrike on Sana'a earlier this week. Along with several ministers, the group said the attack struck a workshop of the Houthi-led government, prompting Supreme Political Council Chief Mahdi al-Mashat to vow vengeance against Israel. Israel has described the strike as targeting a Houthi terrorist regime military site. The Israeli military says it has struck a Hezbollah site in southern Lebanon, targeting military and underground infrastructure at Beaufort Bridge. It accused Hezbollah of violating understandings between Israel and Lebanon by conducting military activity at the site. Lebanon's national news agency has reported heavy strikes in Ali, Al-Tahir, and Al-Debsha, with fires and significant damage recorded. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced he will issue an executive order making voter identification mandatory for every ballot cast. He also declared that mail-in voting would be restricted to the seriously ill and military personnel stationed abroad. Trump has repeatedly cast doubt on the U.S. electoral system, continuing to advance claims of fraud in the 2020 election. Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto has said that political parties have agreed to strip lawmakers of several perks and privileges after mass protests. The move comes amid widespread unrest over pay and housing allowances that has left at least 5 people dead across Indonesia. The 2025 Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit is set to open today in Tianjin, bringing together more than 20 leaders. Key issues on the table include regional security, counterterrorism, trade, energy, food security, and new frontiers such as cyber defense, artificial intelligence, and Belarus's membership. In latest developments, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is currently in talks with Myanmar's military chief on the sidelines of the SCO Summit. Meanwhile, Malaysian Prime Minister has arrived in Tianjin to participate in the SCO Summit as well, while China and Armenia have announced the establishment of a strategic partnership. On the sidelines, Chinese President Xi Jinping and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a fruitful meeting focusing on strengthening bilateral ties and cooperation in trade, infrastructure, and regional security as well, according to a senior official. Other leaders in attendance include Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan, Kyrgyz President Sadyar Japarov, Vietnamese Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh, Uzbek President Shavkat Mirziyoyev, and Maldivian President Mohammad Muizzu. The SCO's 25th anniversary comes at a time of sharp global conflicts and internal frictions, with leaders aiming to bolster cooperation in energy, security, and digital defenses, positioning the SCO as a counterweight to Western blocs like NATO. Now we are joined by Megha Sharma, my colleague and senior executive, who is in Tianjin in China, bringing exclusive insight from the summit. Megha, what other key bilaterals are expected today, and what more can you tell us from the ground?
Yes, there has been a flurry of activity that has been taking place since morning. There have been a number of leaders who are either members of the SCO or are participating nations in the capacity of observer nations or in the capacity of dialogue partners who have arrived in Tianjin through the day today. In fact, the latest bilateral that has completed has been between President Xi Jinping and the President of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. And the big statement that has come from Erdogan is that he said that Turkey and Erdogan is, of course, massively pushing for trade to accelerate between China and Turkey. In fact, he said that both China and Turkey should be creating new cooperation highlights like new energy, 5G, biomedicine. Besides that, the Chinese president has also met with his Vietnamese prime minister. He ended up meeting the Maldivian president, Mohamed Muizzu, just a short while ago. There has been a meeting on the sidelines of the SCO Summit that has happened between President Putin and his Belarusian counterpart, Alexander Lukashenko. So, a flurry of activities that is taking place. Of course, the Armenian president also met Xi Jinping on the sidelines, where Xi Jinping has, wholeheartedly gone all out and showcased full support for Armenia's proposal to be part of the SCO membership. And not just that, there's been a Kyrgyzstan China bilateral that has also happened. There are at least 10 agreements that have been signed between Kyrgyzstan and China, which is going to be very interesting in development. Remember, these are really rich in rare earth minerals, and that's exactly what the investment is being done by China. It wants to make massive investments in Central Asia, whether it is Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, explore and exploit to the maximum potential the mineral-rich territory of Central Asia, which will be of great value when it comes to the productivity of Chinese industries. So these are developments. In fact, Prime Minister Modi of India has also held a bilateral on the sidelines with the Myanmar military chief. So big developments over there, Asuma. And besides that, what is anticipated now in just a few moments' time, in fact, it may have already started, the foreign minister of China, Wang Yi, is going to be holding a press conference very, very shortly, if he hasn't already started. Now, this press conference is a precursor to the official reception that is being hosted by President Xi Jinping, where he's going to be welcoming all the 24 heads of states who are part of the SCO Summit 2025 in Tianjin in China. Besides that, of course, there are 10 leaders, 10 heads of the international organizations that are also participating in this massive summit.
Much, Megha, for joining us and sharing that insight. Well, we have just heard from my colleague and senior executive editor, Megha Sharma. Now we move on. Now we have a guest who joined us, Mr. Liu Baocheng, Dean of the Center for International Business Ethics at the University of International Business and Economics from Beijing, China. Thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to NewsX World. In what ways can the SCO promote ethical trade practices among its member states, according to you?
I think on the front notion, when the world is facing a lot more challenges in terms of geopolitical confrontation and now the disruption of the supply chain, it is really a high time for SCO to uphold such a banner of multilateralism and strengthen the collaboration along the entire supply chain. That is the responsibility by its leadership towards the people's livelihood, towards the industrial growth, and hence the general drive for modernization of each and every country that is there to be involved. And now the issue is that both, all of the members should be there to contribute their fair share to promote peace and stability in order to prevent the more of the disruptive forces and destructive forces against the economic growth, and then the collaboration over the entire supply chain in terms of finance, in terms of the labor contribution, and also the division of the advantages that can be combined to be able to create a sort of a synergy among each of the country. For example, Russia has a lot more resources, and China is really the great powerhouse for manufacture and also going for high-end manufacturing. And India has a lot more of the labor resources of the high-end services, and other Central Asia countries, they either have a lot more of the minerals resources, and also they also have strategic advantages in the logistic transportation, etc. So it is really the time, and also it is really the need of all the people around the world that are able to see the better protection of the security, better security of also of the supply chain, and they would also like to see better transparency in how people get connected on a rule-based collaboration. So these are really the issues that China played an important role, but also in collaboration for a win-win situation with all the members.
Thank you for sharing that. And what do you think what does India bring to the table here in SCO Summit this time?
Well, for India, we are great neighbors. We are the most populous two countries in the world, and we also have a lot more synergies in terms of the China's manufacturing capability and India's drive, particularly in recent years, of their very robust economic growth. And so they also offer one of the marketplace when China is really diversifying its marketplace from the reliance of the United States. So we have a lot more to be able to collaborate. And the fact that we have already achieved the more than the 138 billion US dollars of trade also shows its significance. And the investment is also very strong, particularly from China's side to deliver to India. And India is there to offer the labor services, and also they offer a lot more of their unique advantages in, for example, in the call centers, and also in their manufacturing and research capability in drug making and pharmaceutical industries. And then hopefully India can really reconsider to be better placed within the regional comprehensive economic partnership, and also to be able to give a better transparency and coherence in terms of their policies towards foreign investment, not only from China, but also from the rest of the world. And then, hopefully a certain free trade agreement can be considered between these two largest and the populous countries that can really share their unique advantage with each other.
Yes, and now looking at a broader picture, what role should the SCO play in establishing ethical frameworks for energy cooperation amid global environmental concerns? What do you think?
Yes, I think the consensus is there to be built with the right type of mechanism instead of simply staying on the rhetorics when every nation is talking about sustainable development, but what are those measures, standards that can really be able to showcase the actual deliverables in terms of their ethical performance and also environmental responsibility. And then so that's why I would see that some sort of a rule-based order that is there to be in place. And within the SCO, we have a number of functions in terms of meetings in many different sectors, from security to economic cooperation to sustainable development to the emergency aid, etc. I think a certain sort of board can be established in securing the sustainable development in an ethical and responsible way. And right now, the world are really not only fighting for the material resources, they also fight for the rulemaking and also the auditing process. So to make it more implementable, particularly those rules and notions can be translated into real practices by the business community, and also to involve more closely with the civil society. So that's something that's can be more deliverable. And in terms of specific sectors, for example, in the extractive industry and in the tropical principles for the banking, and also in the best labor practices within factories and the supply chain. So these are there to involve a lot more of the rule-making process, and also hopefully a sort of annual type of report can be produced to give a better transparency and accountability to all stakeholders that are involved in different sectors of their business.
And how do you think, how does this SCO's growing focus this year on cyber defense and AI ethics bring to the discussion this year, especially this year? Yes.
Yes, I think now, whenever a country is going all the way forward, all out for modernization, artificial intelligence is really a game changer in the way of the economic cooperation, in the way of people's livelihood, and now how countries can come up with a consensus and also with certain set of rules to make sure that certain side effects can be prevented, for example, in terms of the ethical considerations towards teenagers, towards the environmental consideration, etc. And so these are really the front areas that can be delivered, and also how artificial intelligence can promote the equality and the legitimate access to all people that are involved in terms of the data flow, instead of supporting data monopoly, and then how artificial intelligence can be better used in the manufacturing process, in monitoring the supply chain, in the data flow among different countries. So these are there to be important. Now, I think DEPA, the Digital Economic Partnership, is already giving a very good example. So I think that can be all a matter of benchmark for countries that are involved in the SCO to be really to consider to something that is comparable, so that transparency, accountability, and sustainability in better utilizing such sort of artificial intelligence will be something that's very crucial. And also in terms of practical application, for sectors like the medical area, for joint diagnosis, joint treatment, and also in sharing education programs among different schools and universities. And these are really something that can be there to benefit all the people, and also, in addition to the e-commerce that is also under the upgrading among many of these countries.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Mr. Liu Baocheng, for joining us and sharing your insight as a Dean of the Center for International Business Ethics at the University of International Business and Economics. Joined us live from Beijing, China. Now we move on to our next discussion with a retired Major General Sudhakarji. He's a senior geopolitical and strategic defense expert, and Gleb Borukov, he's an international affairs expert, joins us live from Moscow. Thank you to both our guests for joining us. I would first like to go to Major General Sudhakarji. Do you think that we are witnessing a realignment among looking at SCO Summit? What do you think?
Yeah, Soma, good afternoon. Thank you for getting me to your show. Compliments to our distinguished co-panelists, especially Mr. Baocheng Liu from China, for having spoken and articulated his thoughts in a very comprehensive manner. As regards your question, my short and sweet answer is yes. Given the backdrop of pandemic, thereafter Russo-Ukraine war in the Central Europe, then the Hamas in Israel, one thought that would come to an end, but new front was soon opened up with Iran, and the turmoil which is going on in terms of the supply chain disruption, price rise in food, fuel, fertilizer, and lack of trust. Not that trust was existing earlier, but whatever little trust was existing in the global order, that seems to have evaporated. It has disappeared. So under these circumstances, the Trump's tariff tyranny seems to have compelled the world order to take sides, because every country has got self-esteem. No one can compromise territorial sovereignty, nor the integrity. And when it comes to geopolitics, geopolitics also survives and sustains on paradigm of self-respect, mutual respect, mutual interest, and I would say mutual sovereignty. So when these things are compromised and the fundamentals of diplomacy are given a passover, then perhaps one has to sit back and introspect that there is a time that has come, and in that time frame happens to be the SCO meeting which is taking place in China. In my opinion, it is giving a golden opportunity to China to showcase. It leverages. It also is affording China to demonstrate its capability, its leadership to the world order. Gone are the days when we used to think about SCO as a regional bloc. In my opinion, because of turn of events, the SCO which is ongoing is turning out to be a global platform in many ways. And therefore, to answer your question, it definitely is showing signs, very prominent signs of realignment. Whether it will happen or not, it definitely is not a unipolar nor a bipolar world. It is definitely a multipolar world in manifestation in the world order today.
Thank you very much, Major General Sudhakarji, for joining us as always and sharing your insight. Now we move on to Russia-Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin is currently in Tianjin, China, attending the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, where discussions with Xi Jinping are continuing amid mounting diplomatic pressure over the war with Ukraine. Meanwhile, according to reports, Russia says its forces have downed 112 Ukrainian drones in the past 24 hours and has struck a Ukrainian port infrastructure used for military purposes. These developments come as Russia intensifies its air defenses and targets logistical hubs. As diplomacy continues, the war between Russia and Ukraine continues to escalate. While President Putin is in Tianjin, Ukrainian President Zelensky continues to urge countries to take action against Russia and awaits countries' mediation in the war. Now for this discussion, we go to Gleb Borukov. He's an international affairs expert, joins us live from Moscow. Thank you very much for waiting for this panel. Thank you for joining us and staying with us. Now, according to you, are we seeing the organizations coming up as a counterweight to Western alliances, or do you think it is still not quite there yet?
Good afternoon, good morning. It's a pleasure joining you on this panel. Pleasure joining my fellow speakers as well. I think what I would like to reiterate to what has already been said. I think the global world order is changing. This is why we're seeing so much happening in the last, say, 5 to 6 years. Things are really, the old system is breaking, breaking with loud cracks in form of wars and all sorts of, economic and trade distortions. What's going to come out of it is actually quite interesting. I don't think anyone can actually tell right now what kind of world order we're going to have in the next 10 years. But certainly it's going to be multipolar. It's not going to be led by the West anymore. So the West will continue playing an important part, including the United States. But I think the system will change. The system will change. And we see that China is emerging, has emerged as a very important player. It has enough resource and capabilities to challenge the United States. We're seeing India emerging as probably the world's third largest power in terms of population, in terms of economic potential. We're seeing Russia obviously trying to maintain its position in the world, although Russia certainly lacks resources in terms of population, but it has a lot of natural resources on the other hand. So I think what is happening right now, especially at the summit in these days, is realignment of powers, rebalancing of interests. I think all of these powers, all of these major countries are now realizing that they can no longer rely on the United States as a major export market. And they actually need to reestablish the trade links and relationships among themselves. So I think this is the major realization that is coming out of it. In terms of Russia-Ukraine conflict, Russia-Ukraine conflict essentially is the reflection of the major friction which is happening between the old global order and the new global order which is emerging. So it's like a, clash of two tectonic blocks. And unfortunately, this has taken a shape and form of a very ugly conflict and war. But ultimately, if you look deeper, this is effectively a clash of two systems. This clash has been, happening or getting, in a more sleepy state over the course of the last few hundred years. And I think we are now at the, at the peak of this latent conflict. So hopefully, as the newly emerged global powers rebalance their interests in terms of trade, in terms of their geopolitical interests, they settle their differences. The West will also realize that it will have to, take a somewhat different position, stance, and role within this newly forming world.
Yes.
And conflicts like this, they will gradually, they will gradually come to an end, hopefully.
Yes, you talked about realignment. What role does China play in shaping Russia's international posture through platforms like the SCO? What do you think?
Well, I think right before the summit, one of the major Russian tech corporations, Rostec, has announced that it is ready to cooperate with China to supply China with aircraft engines for the passenger aircraft, which are being built and developed in China. At the same time, the US companies have stepped back, saying they're not willing to supply those components to China anymore. So we see that the links between Russia and China, the relationships, are fundamentally based on economics and trade. So Russia has certain expertise, Russia has certain resources, which China still lacks and probably will never have. So in order for the two countries to develop, their own economies, it's quite crucial that they continue and forge, tighter collaboration. Yes. Collaboration can take different shapes and forms. Russia and China can explore Russian energy and other mineral resources jointly, for example. Russia can help China with developing its, technological expertise. Russia can become an R&D center in a sense. China, on the other hand, can help Russia manufacture products which are being developed in Russia, for example, because Russia still lacks those capacities. China can help Russia set up those manufacturing capacities in Russia. So there are many different shapes and forms how this collaboration can take place. I think it's important for the leaders to establish this framework, and then for the private companies and corporations to actually decide how they want to do this, because ultimately private business will always know better, how and in which shape and form to collaborate. In that sense, the governments should act as facilitators and as support agents, and also provide the necessary financing and financial guarantees for the private businesses to be able to, yes, develop those business relationships that they see fit.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Grelev, Dr. Borukov, for joining us today and sharing your insight as an international affairs expert from Moscow. Thank you very much. We continue our coverage of the SCO Summit in Tianjin, and we are sharing real-time updates and bringing you exclusive insights. Let's take a look.
I'm here at the SCO Summit Media Center in Tianjin in China, and this is the Science and Technology Immersive Center, and I'm going to take you through an immersive, beautiful, surreal journey where technological advancements have ensured that you can walk into a virtual reality mode and feel as if you're actually present in that very moment in your senses. So let's get this device started. Let me wear this, and with my hand gestures here I'm able to select the video that I want to play. This is the clipping that I want to play, and let's get going, and let's enter into this surreal world of magic that is playing in front of us. And these are some of the most iconic visuals from across the globe, the most iconic buildings from across the globe, the structures, the monuments. This is, in fact, the Qingdao SCO Pearl International Expo Center, and it looks as if I'm actually present over there. I have the bird's eye view of this International Expo Center. So I have to balance myself, because this is obviously, simulation. This is 3D simulation, and it's almost as if I'm on an aircraft and I'm just whizzing past through this beautiful, fantastic monument, which is the central axis of Beijing. Okay, let's move on. There is, let me sit down, because, it just sort of disbalances you. And this is the Mir Castle complex. This is in Belarus, and it gives you a very immersive experience It's all, you're actually sitting by that river, watching those beautiful swans. And this is the Taj Mahal in India. And this is just beautiful, stunning views. This is Lake Urmia in Iran. And you have these pelicans. And you take a drive through. This is the Charian Canyon in Kazakhstan. And, as there are these visuals that play in front of you, taking you into this immersive experience, you can actually smell. For example, if I'm here on the seas, this is the Isikkul Lake in Kyrgyzstan. I can actually smell that lake. This is what this immersive experience does for you. This is Karakoram Highway. And it's stunning. This is Moscow. This is the Moscow Kremlin. And the smell reminds you of the snow-covered monuments in Moscow, the Kremlin. This is the Arctic National Park. And we move on, transition to the Fedchenko Glacier. This is Tajikistan. And such stunning views. It's almost as if I can just touch the horse over there. And we quickly shift to Registan Square. This is in Uzbekistan. And again, a beautiful architectural marvel. This is Tian Shan Mountains. It's stunning, it's beautiful, the snow-clad mountains. It's almost as if it's in your reach. And it's just magnificent. It's fantastic. It's unbelievable, so to say, that you can feel these images in front of you. It's almost as if you just planted in front of the lake on that bridge. This is the Hai River. This is in Tianjin. We are in Tianjin right now, and this makes me want to go to the Hai River in Tianjin and experience it for myself. But this is as close to experiencing it firsthand as you can ever get. So these are some of the most stunning visuals that you see. And it has been, it truly is. I'm a little disbalanced because, it's an immersive experience and it's a 3D experience. And it just stuns you in so many more ways than one. And yeah, with that, we come to the end of this immersive experience. I have had a fantastic time. It's truly unimaginable that technology can play such an amazing role in transforming our lives, in our visual experiences, and so much more.
Well, this is all we have time for. We will continue to bring you more news updates of the SCO Summit. Stay tuned.